Hey guys, Juice here, and welcome back to the Sonic Adventure 2 Dark Story Speedrunning tutorial. Today we're going to be going over Final Chase. This is the hardest shadow stage by far, in my opinion, not only mechanically but also mentally, because it's at the very end of the run. I decided that I wanted to cover this first for you guys, just because I want you to treat it like any other stage. Don't worry about your nerves when you get here. I know that's a lot easier said than done, but you need to practice this one just as much as the rest so that you don't break down when you get here. There's a lot of intricacies to go over with this one too, so strap in and get ready. Just a quick reminder that if you haven't seen the rest of the videos, they are in a playlist on my channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. I put a lot of work into these, and please hit that subscribe button. The Discord links from my personal community Discord and the Sonic Adventure 2 Speedrunning Community Discord will both be in the description below, so join those. Always looking for some new members to talk to. And without further ado, let's get into it. So right off the bat, there's a huge jump that we have to do here. I am going to be going over things that happen if this jump goes wrong, but I'm gonna help you guys time this. So basically what we do is after we go through these two loops on the rail, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the A button to jump, but we're just going to tap the A button. Pause hovering is going to be a big thing in this stage. Pause hovering is where you tap A to jump, pause, and then unpause with the A button. This way, it allows you to use your hover frames later. And I'll show you a quick example of this. So this is what a normal jump looks like, but just tapping. And this is holding a jump. See how you go much higher? Basic mechanic that's in this game. You can keep this height, but still stay floating. If you pause, I'm just going to tap the A button, pause, and then unpause. Watch. Just like that. See how Shadow's just floating there? At that same height. So that's the technique we're going to use when we jump off this rail. And what's gonna happen is we're going to actually skip this entire part, and we're going to end up over there to where that tube is. Don't even get me started on tubes. That's a big thing. So timing this can be a little bit tricky at first. But basically what we're going to do is once we get over these two loops, we're going to tap the A button and then hold right. After that, we're going to adjust the camera by using L. That way the camera is on Shadow's back. And we're going to hold a certain direction, which is diagonal right. Right when I jump off, I'm going to wait until Shadow uncoils a little bit, and then I'm going to use the hover frames. Just like that. So as you saw, we were holding the B almost the entire time. We didn't rail jump. So what happens if you try to do this too fast, like if you hit right, for example, let me just show you, actually. You do this. You do this little rail jump. And if you do this, it's not the end of the world, but you can still save this. Just have to be careful. That's pretty much the fastest way to do that if you fail it. You also have to be careful here. Make sure that you're not jumping too early, because then you won't get the height that you need. Also, if you don't have enough distance, you can land here without touching the analog stick. If you touch the analog stick and you try to land here, you'll go straight through this. But if you see yourself aiming towards the springs because you won't have enough distance to actually hit this platform, just go for the springs. That can happen. Let's say you just don't have enough distance. I do in this case, but it's like, oh, I gotta hit the spring. Again, 1, 2. Also, don't feel bad if you don't get that right away. That does require a lot of practice. So once we land, we're going to charge a spin dash right away, because we're actually going to jump from here to that platform over there on the left. We want to jump in between the spring and this rail here, and then we're going to adjust our angle to land over there. We can use our hover frames here if we want, like this, and then homing attack. You can also do it without using the hover frames, just by holding the A button instead of tapping and going around there. It's faster to do it the other way, but it's okay if you don't want to do it. It's not the end of the world. So a lot of people say that the strat that I'm about to show you once we land on that platform is a little bit dangerous, but it's what I like to do. I'll show you 2 ways. I like to do that spin dash, but if you just want to jump instead, right at the edge, hold that A button, it's not the end of the world. So once you're here, what we're going to do is we're just going to homing attack cancel forward once we're in the middle. Just like that. If you homing attack cancel from like from a little bit further back on here, that's fine too. If you just want to get close, you know, either work. I like to do it a little bit closer, but if you're further back, that's fine. So here, I usually like to collect a ring since usually you haven't up to this point. And our goal is to get around that artificial chaos and homing attack cancel on the left side of this tube and ride up it. So I like to stand over here. Once I get the ring, I'm over here, and then I just do one of those. Another thing that you can do here, because you have to be careful with this tube, we pretty much want as much speed as possible going up to it, so... And then you jump once you're on that end. And then you can homing attack cancel again. So again, you're here, jump, homing attack cancel. It's pretty much just a safe way to do it. You have to be careful. If you hit the artificial chaos, just make sure you have your jump saved and then jump back to the tube. So once we're here, we're going to jump over here to the right side of this thing and hit the spring under it. We're going to hit the spring by being under it. So let me show you the difference. That's hitting the spring under it, so it just sends you forward. And then here's not hitting the spring under it. You can clearly see which one saves time and which one doesn't. So again, so another thing you have to be careful of is you got to make sure that you're actually staying close to the tube when you jump towards it so that you stick to it. Just like that. So this is going to take some explaining. I'm going to go over 3 routes here. I'm going to go over a safe route, the big jump, which is going to require a lot of hovering practice, and a backup that you can do if that jump fails a certain way. So first of all, from here, normally what you would do is you take this boost pad and then you travel across those things and go up and go down the hill. So that wastes a lot of time. One quick thing that you can do to save time over that, by hitting this, doing this, and then just jumping. If you feel more comfortable doing this than doing the spin dash jump that I'm about to show you, just jump off and go down here. But you can spin dash jump as well. Okay, so now that I showed you the safe strats, I'm going to show you what you should actually do here. So a lot of Final Chase runners do have trouble with this, including me. So don't feel bad if you don't get this right away. But this is probably one of the harder jumps in this level. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand about here. You can be a little bit closer. We're going to charge a spin dash, and we're going to jump off the rail to the right here. And I need you to pay close attention to what I do with my camera and how I use my hover frames. Pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did for the first jump. And then once Shadow uncoils, you're going to pause and hold A. We're just going to tap A jumping off of this. So as you can see, I'm holding a specific angle when I'm doing this while changing my camera. Then pretty much when the camera snaps is when I pause and then start holding A again. I honestly like to be a little bit further back because it saves me from going on this rail because I have problems hitting A fast enough. That has to do with input delay and also just my own physical malfunctioning, I guess. I don't really know. But you can stand further back if you're having trouble. Let's say you're getting caught on this, which, by the way, this is a good time to talk about this backup. So this is the backup that I wanted to talk about. If you end up here, there's an old strat that some runners used to use. What we're going to do is we're going to spin dash off of here, and then we're going to actually use hover frames like I was talking about before. So watch this. So that's a little backup you can use. You're going to want to make sure that you're adjusting the angle pretty fast no matter which method you're using, because if you don't, you're not going to have the same momentum that you need to land on that platform. You also have to make sure that you're using your hover frames when Shadow's uncoiling. So don't feel bad if that takes you a lot of practice. It honestly takes everyone a lot of practice once they get around to learning it. But what should happen now is you end up right here, which is perfect. I'm going to make another save state. So what we're going to do here is we're going to spin dash twice. We're going to want to stay as close as we can to this rail here without actually like hitting its hitbox. If we hit its hitbox, it's going to slow us down. We're just going to spin dash twice. And what this is going to do is it's going to shoot us out so that we end up in between those two electric fences coming in to the left. Then we're going to just homing attack cancel. Perfectly, just like that. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you could just jump over it like this. And then homing attack cancel a second time. But it's a little more optimal to do that. So what would happen here is, like I said, we would charge the spin dash, then jump at this ring box, and then once we get up here, I'm holding A, we're going to homing attack cancel and then jump. We're going to do it diagonally right so we get around this artificial chaos before he can put his attack out. And then just jump right there. Sometimes I notice that when I'm going for the homing attack cancel, I'll hit the ground too soon and end up rolling. If you do roll, it's not a big deal. The guy can't hit you anyway. So just jump out of the rail and then float towards this blue box, the blue square that we're going to fall down. We're approaching the part of the level that's going to lose you the most time if you don't do it right. There's a lot of intricacies and things to go over with this tube section. It's going to require a lot of practice and experimentation on your end, so do not worry if you don't get it right away. I'm going to show you my methods and some things that can go wrong. But before we get to that, once we fall down here, we're going to start holding the B button, so Shadow's going to charge multiple spin dashes. Yeah, so that can happen. That can happen. That's a thing that happens. We want to make sure that we're not too far to the right once we're falling down here. If we are, just don't worry about the spin dash and try to center yourself at the speed pad so that you actually land on the rail, please. Okay, so right here, once we finish on this rail, we're going to let go of the B button, because if we don't, we're going to start charging a spin dash or a roll, which we don't want. So let go of the B button, start running forward, and then homing attack this spring. You're going to want to hold the A button until we reach the height of the platform that's on our right. We can homing attack cancel the top of that. Then we're going to jump around and homing attack cancel this first tube. So, nice and slow. There we go. So, the closer we homing attack these tubes, the faster we go in most cases. Each tube is different. I know it's stupid, but that's how it feels. So, this one's pretty consistent. You can see what I did was I used the homing attack cancel relatively close to this tube, and then I immediately started holding up. Once he goes around twice is when we're actually going to start holding the A button again. We're going to jump off. We're going to let his gravity reset. You can feel when his gravity resets, and you'll also see it. If we don't wait before we homing attack this artificial chaos, we're going to end up homing attacking something we really don't want to. So let's say you're here. And, I mean, honestly, you wouldn't be doing this, but I'm just showing you. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to jump when we hit the center here, when we're facing this artificial chaos. And then we're going to homing attack the other tube. Once we're here, you can see this artificial chaos that's right above us. This is when we are going to do another jump. Homing attack him, and then homing attack cancel this tube. Once we hit this, what I like to do is I like to jump on this platform. And then once I'm here, you can do it pretty low. You can do it pretty low. Let's get that little cheetah, lion, tiger, Chilean tiger, Chilean tiger, Chilean cheetah, tiger, lion. Anyway, so once we're here, what I like to do is when I'm jumping here, I wait until I hear the enemy's attack. This is just the strategy that I have. And then I homing attack cancel this tube. So like this. So we sneak under him. Once we're at this height, what we're going to do is we're going to jump off, and we're going... And I guess you'll see where I jump. Homing attack cancel right here. This one's not too hard. You just have to make sure that you have enough speed to get over there. So from here, we're actually going to not homing attack a tube for once, but we're going to do a spin dash jump over to that tube on the left. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to end up on the left side of it. And then we're just going to hold up and then jump to homing attack the artificial chaos. You have to make sure that you're far enough left from the center of the tube that you travel up in a favorable angle to actually hit the artificial chaos.
I don't know who you are, but I will destroy you.
So that last one was a bit of a doozy, huh? So basically what happens when you hit this artificial chaos is you homing attack cancel this tube, and then we do a little trick where we actually use the gravity of the tube and homing attack cancel up. So once you're about like here, right there, we're going to homing attack cancel, and we're going to hold a specific angle that's like up and right, and we just have to hold that until we're at the top. You have to be careful. You can see when Shadow resets his gravity. You know how like that time he didn't? He actually stayed in that. He stayed in the animation of homing attack cancel in that specific direction. And then we jump. You have to wait to do the homing attack cancel once again until you see his gravity reset. And from there, we can homing attack cancel right here. And then do another one. Oh, my goodness. Also, be careful of that. Runners fall for that all the time. If you're too close to a spring when you homing attack or homing attack cancel anything, you're going to lock onto the spring, and it's going to kill you 9 out of 10 times. Don't do it. Make sure you're far enough away like that. I'm going to go over this tube section again. So as you can see, different things happen sometimes. I'm not going to go ahead and say that this tube section is 100% consistent, but the skill comes in not only getting the consistency down, but also knowing how to fix it when you mess up. Sometimes if you have awkward speeds on the tubes, then Shadow will skip more than other times. It also depends on what platform you're on. Generally on PC and Dreamcast, the tubes act a lot better than on GameCube. I remember when I first started running this game on GameCube, that was my least favorite section in the entire game. But after switching to PC, it became a lot more manageable. But now, we have to talk about Final Chase Mini Skip. This is going to take some practicing. I'm going to go over Mini Skip and then a route that doesn't use Mini Skip. Mini Skip saves around 5 seconds, I believe. Once you get the hang of it, it's really difficult to forget. So I'll teach you that first. So what we're going to do is we're going to start charging a spin dash and go through the checkpoint and hit the rail. Once we get to a certain point on the rail, and I'll show you when, we're just going to jump off and land on the left side of the roof of the building that the rail would usually lead you off. Here. And then you land right here on this left side of the roof. So, once we get here, we're going to start charging the spin dash. We're going to release a spin dash, and you'll have to pay really close attention to my input display for what I'm doing, and also to the area that I'm aiming to spin dash to. So, well, first of all, I'd like to show you what happens if you mess this up. You can get here, and you can readjust the camera angle just by getting behind here. Because sometimes you'll fall off of here if you have too much speed. So yeah, just what I like to do is I like to hit B and then hit A. It gives you the perfect height to get up here. But anyway, let's do it. So, as you can see, I'm holding this this angle that's it's like diagonal left and up, and I'm aiming for this I'm aiming for the right side of this building here. And then once we get to a certain point, I'm going to actually change the angle so it's straight, so we get a little bit more speed, so we get around this blue chunk on the right, and then I'm going to hold the same angle we did before, though slightly more left. Because if we're not holding slightly more left, then Shadow will actually lose his gravity and fall. Once we change our gravity back from, going from straight to hitting that angle again on the left, we're actually going to homing attack cancel. I'm going to line Shadow's left hand up with this little light here. This is pretty much perfect. Then we're just going to drop. And it brings us all the way over here. There are a lot of things that can go wrong with that skip. Honestly, if you mess it up, you die. So, that's good. But once you get it, you get it.
I feel danger all around me.
Yeah, I feel danger all around me too. It's called Final Chase Mini Skip. I would say one thing that's important is if you're going to adjust your angle, make sure you're doing it slightly so that you don't lose gravity. Our whole goal with this is to avoid a kill plane that's below us. But now I guess I'll show you the method of not using this skip. Right here, we're going to charge a spin dash. Jump here. Spin dash again. Land here. We're going to jump around. So we land right here. From here, we can do a spin dash jump to get to the other side of here. I like to use hover frames. Then, okay. So we're here. So there's actually two different ways to make this jump. This jump is honestly... It's not too hard once you get used to it, but there are two ways. There's the better way that saves time because you're doing it right here, and then there's a way to do it like around here. Doing the jump from here is a lot easier, but basically what we're gonna do is we're going to jump these platforms. I can't see them from here, but there's these platforms all the way on the right side, right on the left of this wall. Two platforms that we can land on. That's our goal. So if you're going to do it from here, I recommend doing it just ahead of these two arrows. And we're going to try to not get clipped by this wall. We have to jump at a certain diagonal angle. I like to use my hover frames when I do this. Pausing also gives you a little bit of an advantage because it lets you see the wall and get around it. Once you get it, it's not too bad. Like I said, I like to do the pause. But I don't necessarily think you have to. Yeah, you don't have to. I just like to. So here's the other way. This is honestly a lot easier, but we're just going to do it from here. It's not too hard. Okay, so from here, we're just going to spin dash over to this platform. And then what I like to do is I immediately spin dash here, just on the right side of the spring, because you're already on this side of the platform. The only reason why I hover there is to get over this chow box. I use the hover frames when I'm under that bridge, and I get over that chow box, and then we just charge a spin dash, go through these rails. And then here we are. Now we can spin dash again. So again... There we go. So, no matter which path you take, it leads you to those platforms with these two rails. We're going to take the left one. We don't want to go to the bottom of where these tubes are. We're going to want to go to the top. So from here, we're going to want to end up on the left side of this tube that we're landing on. Jump off about here, homing attack cancel around there again. From here, we just charge a couple spin dashes and then go up this rail. Hold B, bam. Once we're here, I like to drop down to this platform and then just homing attack cancel. I know a lot of people just like to spin dash. Either way, this tube section's honestly not too bad. We're just going to want to stay centered the entire time. I'll show you what I do. I basically charge a couple spin dashes here, jump at the very last second that I can, and then homing attack cancel at the top of the tube. End up around, it drops you off. And now we're at the end of the level. Okay, I'm going to go over a final tube skip. Before I do that, I'm just going to show you a couple other ways you can end this level if you don't want to do this. We can spin dash down there instead of taking this rocket, just by doing this. And then homing attack the spring. We could take the rocket and then just fall to the left and then fall on top of the ring. Or we could do mini skip. So doing mini skip is actually pretty complicated, but what we're going to do is we're going to get as close to the edge of this tube as possible, and we're actually going to jump on the edge of it. This skip can go wrong a couple of ways. One way is to be too high once we spin dash off of this. Another way is to be too low when we spin dash off to it. When we spin dash off of it, and the other way is... I love how Shadow's just talking as he's spinning around with his arms crossed. So it's very humorous to me. And the last way is to adjust your angle to haphazardly once you have spin dashed off. You'll see in my input display that I'm holding a certain angle. Also, I hope you've been paying attention to my input display in general when I'm jumping through the tubes and everything, because it is quite important. But jump, and I like to jump and time it so that I'm right here. This is pretty much exactly where you want to be. This isn't too high and this isn't too low. A lot of people, I see them like jump on the top of this here and then start walking down, which is fine too. I just don't like doing that. But you can see here, this is where I like to spin dash from. It's okay if you're a tiny bit higher than this, but you know, you don't want to be too high, otherwise your gravity's not going to be right. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin dash to the bottom of the tube where the spring is. And this is a lot faster than any other method. Once you get this down, you get this down. I don't think I've messed this up in a actual run, surprisingly. I know a lot of people do. But yeah. Okay, so just like that. So if I'll show you what happens if you're too high and you try to do this. You end up the building on the right ends up sucking you in. And the opposite is true if you try to do this too low. The angle can be the same. Okay, I'm actually surprised that that worked. I have to be even lower for that to happen. No, even then, honestly, that's not too bad. You'd have to be quite low. Alright, so forget it. You pretty much just don't want to be too high. Once the camera shifts at the end there, we can use hover frames to get around the two and then just homing attack the spring. Perfect.
I guess I'm not at full power.
I got an E, guys. I'm not good. But I think I've pretty much gone over all there is to go over in this stage, minus, say, Final Chase Skip. But now I'm just going to show you a demonstration of what Final Chase looks like, all stitched together.
Here we go. That wasn't so hard.
Decide which stage to go to.
So there's my demonstration of Final Chase story style. I realized there were a little bit of mishaps there, but not too big of a deal. A 2:07 is a great time to get in a speedrun. I would say aim for anything under 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and hey, if you can only get 3 minutes right now, that's a lot better than what I could do when I first started speedrunning this game. Hell, I was getting like 4 minutes. 4-minute Final Chases, but hey, now they're down to 2 minutes, so just take your time with it. Each part of the stage takes a lot of practice. I hope this tutorial helped you. If you have any questions about specific parts that you're having trouble with, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'd love to help. If you did like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Give a follow on Twitter maybe, join the Discord maybe. Lots of options. But anyway, that's going to be it for me today. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Sayonara!